Hello friends, today we are going to discuss an interview question which is asked by the Apple. This is the part 2 of the question which we have already discussed. So the question which we have discussed earlier, the link of that question is available in the description box. You can check it out. Okay, now in this question we are going to calculate the most popular client ID of for calls. Okay, now let's discuss the question. So in this question, we are going to calculate the most popular client ID based on the count of the number of the users who have at least 50% of their events from the following list. Okay, now let's understand this question. In this question, we have the list of the events, right? There are many events which are present inside the data frame, but we need to consider these 4 events. Okay. Now this question we are going to divide into 3 parts. Okay. In the very first part, we are going to calculate the total number of events performed by the user and these events, how many these events performed by the users. Okay. We are going to calculate in the very first step the total number of events performed by the users and the number of events, the number of count performed of these events by the user. Okay, means you can say the required events performed by the user. Okay, next, in the second step, now the question is saying you need to count the number of the users who have at least 50% of their events. Now, how do we calculate the percentage per user? See, we have the total number of events, we have the required events. What we can do, how do we calculate the percentage? Required events divided by the total number of events performed by the user. Multiply by 100. Okay. So here we are able to calculate the percentage. Now the condition is at least 50%, means the percentage we need to calculate those users whose percentage is greater than or equal to 50. Okay. Now, in the very last step, we need the client ID based upon the number of the count of the users. Okay. After calculating all the users who have at least 50% of their events in the required event list, then we are going to calculate the number of users, okay, the count of the users mostly used which type of client ID for calls. Okay, means we are going to use the count operation to calculate the number of users to find out the most popular client ID for calls. Okay. So these are the 3 steps we are going to perform while writing the code. Now this particular question I am going to solve with the help of the Python and the MySQL. Okay. Now let's write the code. Now this is the platform. Okay. This is the question. Now firstly, I'm going to solve this question with the help of the Python. Okay. Now let's import pandas library. Now we have the data frame that is fact underscore events. I'm going to rename it as DL. Now, what are the events we need? That is these 4 type of events we need. Okay, now I'm going to make a list of these events. Okay. Now I'm going to make one more column in the data frame. So where I'm going to store which user has used this event. Okay. It will give you the value in Boolean, true and false. Okay. So I'm going to make one column that is the required event. Now these event is stored in the column that is event type. Okay. Dot is in events. Now let's see the data frame. Now we have this column which consists of the Boolean value, that is false, true, true, false, according to the list of the events which we have made. Okay. Now, in the next step, I'm going to calculate the count of the total events, right? And the required events based upon the user ID and the client ID. Okay. By client ID, user ID. Now I'm going to use the aggregation function. That is, let's take a column of total events which stores the count of the events. Okay. Next, the required events. Column name is required event. We need to calculate the sum. This bracket, I think it is the extra one. Right. Now I'm going to use the reset underscore index to include the group by columns inside the data. Let's see the data frame. Now we have the client ID, user ID, total events performed, and the required ones. Okay. Now I'm going to make one more column to store the percentage. Now we have the column name that is required events. On the total events. Okay. Let's see the data frame once again. Now we have the percentage. Now we are going to find out those users who have percentage is greater than or equal to 50. Okay, now these client and users are there who has percentages greater than 50 or equal to 50. Now what we are going to do? We are going to count the number of users. Okay. Based upon the client ID. User ID underscore index. Let's see the data frame. Now we have the client ID and the count. The count where the count is maximum, that is desktop. So our answer is desktop, but we need to write the code for it. Okay. Okay, but we need only the client ID. Let's try it. So the answer is desktop. So I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. Now let's write the code in MySQL. Now let's solve this question with the help of the MySQL language. Select client ID, comma, user ID. Now we are going to calculate the total number of events. Count start as total events. Now we are going to calculate the count of the events which we require. In that case, we are going to use the case type. Now, case when event type in time n and dimension all these 4 events. Okay. Then 1, else 0, and we are going to end the case as the required events. Events from pet underscore events group by user ID, comma, client ID. Now let's see the output. Now you can see we have the client ID, user ID, total number of events, and the required events. Now we are going to calculate the percentage. Okay. Now let's make it one inner query. What we need in the last, that is client ID. Let's select client ID from, make it a inner query. Whenever you are making an inner query, just make it an alias, any name. I'm just taking A over here. Now, where we're going to calculate the percentage, where the required events divided by the total events. Just check the name of the column twice, because if we make any mistake, then it will be very difficult to find out the total events, right? Now this will be greater than equal to 50. Okay. Now, when the percentage is greater than 50, we are going to calculate the client ID based upon the count of the number of users. Okay. Now, we are going to use the group by client ID. Now, order by, we are going to use order by count. Count star. Okay, that is should be in count should be in descending order, and we are going to choose the first value. Okay, count, and I'm going to limit it to only first, because we need the very first, the most popular client ID. Okay, now let's run this code. Now we have the output which we need. So I hope it is clear in both the languages. Okay, if you like my video, kindly share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.